I'd like to call to order this meeting of the Waste Reduction District of Monroe County Board of Directors for Thursday, May 8th, 2025. Mr. McGlasson, will you please call the roll?
Ebon Smith.
Here.
Thomas.
Here.
Thompson. Swafford.
Here.
Madeira.
Here.
Jones. Wiltz.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. First on our agenda is just for your information, the Executive Committee meeting minutes from April 4th. And then we have, for approval, the Board of Director meeting minutes of April 10th. So I'll entertain a motion for those.
So moved.
Second. Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the Board of Director meeting minutes for April 10th. Any comments or questions? Okay. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Those are approved. Thank you. Next, we will move on to the Controller's Report from Controller Teresa Goins, and we have first the cash flows.
The cash flow summary is on page 9 of your board packet. Here are the balances as of April 30 of the following accounts. Operating $4,247,769.09. The closure bond debt is $13,338.47. The capital account $46,010.81. The landfill post-closure is $805,543.24. The individual cash flow statements for each of these were on pages 10 through 14 of your packet, and the operating fund graph is on page 12. The landfill post-closure cash flow and updated cash flow summary were emailed on Wednesday. Are there any questions on the account balances?
Thank you, Controller Goins. Are there any questions on the cash flow? Okay, I don't see any. So we can move on to payroll and claims.
On page 15 in the packet, you will have the summary of the pre-approved payroll and claims since our last meeting in the amount of $109,877.23. The backup for those numbers are on pages 16 through 42. The claims documentation was the claims for approval this week were sent in an email on Wednesday are in the amount of $211,726.64. Documentation was included in the Wednesday email. This brings the total of all payroll claims that we are recommending for approval to $321,603.87. Are there any questions regarding these claims?
I'm going to go ahead and make a motion to approve the payroll and claims as presented in the packet and sent on email on May 7th.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Are there any questions or comments about the payroll and claims? Seeing none from the board, is there any member of the public who would like to comment on the payroll and claims as presented? Nobody in person, and I don't think there are any hands raised. So I come back for a vote on the motion.
I'm not seeing anything on Teams. So.
Okay. All right. So the motion is to approve the payroll and claims as presented in our packet plus the email that was sent yesterday. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, those are adopted. And I checked in with Mr. McGlasson about making sure we get the emailed portion also on our website so that there's a complete public picture of what we have approved. All right, now we can move on to Resolution 2025-06, adoption of a revised internal controls policies and procedures. document. Mr. McGlasson, would you like to introduce this item?
Sure. So page 43 in your packet, you do have a memo that summarizes the changes, the revisions, reflected in the document. We're asking for approval, and then a clean version of the revised internal control policy and procedures, as well as a marked up version of the previous revision. So obviously updating the district's name was a necessity there. We did also had some areas in there where it only referenced one position of the controller, executive director, or office manager, only one or two of those. In those places, we did make reference to all three of those positions being identified as eligible or probable to complete various tasks, so that if anybody was out ill or on vacation, we don't have an issue with policies and procedures delaying things moving forward. And we also added policies and procedures related to accepting debit and credit cards at our household hazardous waste facility, and some other policies and procedures related to the acceptance of and disbursement of electronic funds, as we're doing more EFT transfers for paying bills, as well as receiving payment for invoices and other fees that we collect. So, and then the biggest changes in there are related to us switching over to the electronic timekeeping system that we did last year, and making sure that our policies and procedures are current with our current practices of tracking employees' time.
Thank you. Can we get a motion on the table in regarding this resolution?
I move approval of Resolution 2025-06.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Are there any questions about this resolution to approve a new internal controls, policies, and procedures document? Questions or comments from board members? None? All right, is there any member of the public who would like to comment on this item? See anybody in the Nat U Hill room? I don't see any hands raised on Teams. So we can come back and vote on the adoption of Resolution 2025-06, a new revised internal controls, policies, and procedures document. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any?
Said it quietly. I did say aye.
Okay.
It was just very quiet.
Any opposed? All right. That has been approved. Thank you very much. We're going very swiftly today, very efficient. We now have Resolution 2025-07, Phase 2 of the collective composting program. Mr. McGlasson.
Yeah, this is something that we discussed last summer as we went through our budget preparation and approval process, and a desire to continue with what initially started as an apartment or multi-dwelling complex composting program. And there was a desire to do that. The city has also indicated that, as they did with the first phase of this, they would be willing to co-fund half of the amount on that. So what you have in here is the agreement that's been drawn up to continue that initial program as well as expand it. The agreement does specify that it is to as needed continue servicing the existing programs that are up and running, as well as seek to expand that to up to 6 additional complexes or communities. And if you'll recall, late last year, there was some interest expressed by Harmony School to have this program or a similar program at the school. Although ultimately, unfortunately, that didn't come to fruition for this school year, we did modify the language in this agreement to allow for schools, faith-based communities, and institutional settings, but the ability to go a little bit beyond just an apartment complex or a condominium community in there, which from my recollection, when our discussions with Harmony School, there did seem to be a desire and interest to allow that to happen in those types of situations. So what you have the agreement to continue doing this as explained. The total funding amount for up to 6 new complexes would be $25,500. Again, of which the city has committed to pay $12,750. To that point, I would note, also included in the packet is a draft memorandum of understanding with the city, as we did with the first go-round on this. The city has not yet responded to that, reviewed that, and I've been advised we're probably looking at a minimum of 6 weeks before the city will take that memorandum of understanding up, and obviously we don't want to approve something that the city has not yet reviewed and agreed to. But in the interest of keeping the momentum, with the program going and keeping things moving, I guess I would encourage the board to consider approving moving forward with the One Sustainable Joe agreement, under the assumption, and I think it's a safe assumption, that the city will ultimately agree. We'll get an MOU, we'll get an MOU in place for their half of the funding. And if for some reason that doesn't happen, I think, the $12,000 that we're looking at is we have cash reserves. We can absorb that through an additional appropriation, if not in our existing budget if we have to. And I would encourage the board to move forward in the interest of keeping the momentum going.
Thank you. Can we go ahead and get a motion on the table?
I'm going to go ahead and move approval of Resolution 2025-07, as including approving the Memorandum of Understanding.
Second.
Now, it was my understanding we're not approving the Memorandum of Understanding today, right? That would be something that I would, as chair, would be empowered to do, because there are some errors in it.
Yeah, the board would have the option to go ahead and and take that up as it is included in the packet. But as I indicated, the city has not reviewed that and responded to it. And there are some typographical and other errors, in it. And in all likelihood, the city will probably ask for some revisions to suit their interest as well.
Well, I'm just going to say we should just table this then. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about all this then, if that's the case. So.
And obviously,
I'm going to withdraw my motion and leave it at that.
That's at the board's discretion. I think, as I indicated, my information I have from the city at this point is that we're probably at least 6 weeks out from city legal taking this issue up, and looking at the MOU and approving it, requesting revisions or what have you.
So this is a continuation of a program that has been ongoing, and then a little bit of an expansion of that program. There was an MOU in place between the city and the district prior for the first part?
Correct.
How much does this MOU deviate from that?
Very, very little, other than, making the necessary changes to reflect the changes in the language of the agreement related to, the allowing the schools churches and stuff to get a similar program up and running at their facilities under this program.
So I'm looking at the MOU draft, and in evaluation and outcomes, it lists all of the things to be presented at the end of the term. And that was in there as well last year, is that correct?
I believe
MOU?
I believe the last one actually did omit the final report that is in there this time. Although One Sustainable Joe has agreed to provide or produce a final report that's currently being worked on, as the contract, the agreement for the initial term actually expired the beginning of this month.
I see. So we don't have the first year information in terms of outcomes as of
Not
yet.
full.
Okay.
They did give us an update, a status report in November. I suppose if you weren't on the board last year, you may not have seen that at this point. So
do we have any reason to believe that the city has concerns about the MOU?
the specific language of it, possibly. The intent of it and moving forward with it, no.
Okay, and so my understanding from previous discussions on this is that we are committing to a contract with One Sustainable Joe to do the project. The MOU then commits the city to help support us in that endeavor.
Yeah, and I guess, and I apologize, since some of you weren't on the board when this, the initial contract started. This was an issue that came up with the initial contract where, because the program is not confined to the city limits and could potentially include locations that are outside the city limits, the city did not want to be directly involved in the agreement, but was recognizing that a good portion of participating complexes would be in the city. They did want to support it. So yes, the district enters into the agreement and ultimately, is responsible for the full cost of the agreement. And then the memorandum of understanding is with the city that they'll reimburse us or they'll pay us half of the value of the agreement.
Yes, go ahead, Councilor Wells.
Given that, thinking about the concerns expressed by Commissioner, I think the question is, would we go ahead and commit to this contract, irrespective of the city's support? And if so, then we would vote forward today. Is that correct?
No, my concern is that this adds to the program, but we don't have funding in place to cover that additional program. So it's not just what we did before, but it adds more locations, which adds more money, but we don't have funding secured yet through an agreement with the city. So it may be better to renew what we have and then deal with the additional separately, I think.
What would renewal of what we have, what would that look like? Just the same agreement and not allowing schools or faith communities to participate?
Can I to clarify one thing, and I perhaps misspoke initially with that we actually do have the appropriation for the full $25,500 in our budget. But part of what got our budget bottom line where it was budgeting for the $12,750 as revenue that the city was going to contribute toward the project.
But this is funding a larger project than we currently have, because it's additional sites, correct?
Say it again.
The overall cost is higher for this project because it includes more sites than we currently have being served under the present contract.
Well, the original contract is expired.
Okay, but under that contract, there were a certain number of sites for X amount of dollars. This is that number plus 6 for more money.
Yeah, but most of the costs are up front when you're setting up sites. So the 4 sites that already exist they have minimal costs at this point, is my understanding.
Well, any additional cost for the existing sites is built into this agreement, is built into that $25,500.
Existing costs.
And if I would acknowledge that Joe Winia from One Sustainable Joe is here today, and I'm sure that if the board would like him to answer any questions, he would be willing to do so.
Councilor Wiltz?
We do not have anything before us that we could extend in terms of a contract or agreement in place.
Correct.
So that's really not an option. And right now, the previous contract has ended.
Correct.
So the question before us is an up or down on the contract with One Sustainable Joe as presented. And my understanding from what you're saying is that your budget for this year included the increase in the contractual amount?
I don't consider it an increase. We budgeted for a new agreement to continue and expand the program that was originally started, anticipating that the original contract would come to an end and that we would want to continue doing what we were doing and get other complexes, involved in doing composting on site. So it's an appropriation that was in place to fund, in essence, a second round of that original pilot project that just ended.
May I pose a question to Mr. Winia? If I could ask Mr. Winia to come to the podium, please. Since we do have some questions about this and haven't heard back from City Legal, I wanted to inquire how much of a hardship, if any, it would be if we put off this vote until our June meeting.
Yeah, I think the short answer is it wouldn't be a severe hardship. It would be, I think, preferable to have it approved sooner than later, but the contract itself is flexible in terms of the number of participants that will be onboarded, and there are presently no sites in agreement and actively moving forward on a particular site. They are polling their residents and choosing their next locations, but I've been keeping them up to date with the status of the funding, so they're aware that it's not active at the moment.
Thank you. Yes, Commissioner Thomas?
I have a couple questions. Can you name the 4 current sites?
Yeah, so it's the Woods at Latimer. It is the Middle Earth House with the Bloomington Cooperative Living. It is the Covenanter Hill neighborhood. And the 4th is the Bloomington Co-housing.
So all 4 of those are in the city?
Yes.
Okay. How many of the additional sites you're looking at are outside of the city?
So actually, I reached out to about a dozen sites outside of the city last year, and I provided the, summary of responses in the November report that Mr. McGlasson referenced, but at least, none of them at that time were interested in starting a site. One of them expressed potential interest if the first round of the pilot was successful. So what I plan to do is definitely reach out back to that particular location and then also check back in with all of those sites again outside of the city to see if there is any new interest.
Other questions for Mr. Winia?
I'm not sure I understand. I do understand the hiccup, which is the city not having anything in place with us yet. However, and this isn't necessarily a question for you, but you're asking about postponing it to the next month, but he said it's going to be 6 weeks. So we'll have a meeting and we won't have any more information. And at some point, the momentum, as Tom referred to it, will be lost. Not that that decimates the program. I get that. I'm not trying to be dramatic. But all of these sites are in the county, even if they're in the city. This is the Waste Reduction District's agreement with the contractee. And it has been planned for in the budget. It has also been planned for that we will get a reimbursement, so to speak, from the city. And so that's a risk. I guess to me, it just boils down to, would we do this without the city? And is that a risk? That would be me, sorry. I just stopped talking.
Self-timer. I should try that.
Sorry.
I would set that off all the time. Are there other perspectives from other board members on this? I mean, I could try to, light a fire under city legal and try to get an answer by our next board meeting. But I also, I agree with Councilor Wilson's framing of the program, and I guess I would say, as a member of this board, I would go ahead even if the city, for some unforeseen reason, doesn't go ahead with their portion. So I would feel comfortable voting on this. However, there is one phrase in the actual resolution language that I would want to change. And that is the last whereas clause. It says the city of Bloomington also desires for this program to continue and expand and has appropriated matching funding to reimburse the district for 50% of the costs. The city has not appropriated matching funding. They have? So it was in their budget.
The Economic Sustainable Development Department did budget for that $12,750.
Oh, okay. All right. Very good. I am misremembering that. Delete that note. So I guess I'll open it up again to see if we have a motion to vote on today.
Can I have a question?
Yes,
If I move
please.
to have us vote on it and we vote it down, can it come back next meeting? I don't want to squash it by saying, let's vote.
I believe that it can. It would be under a different resolution. We can't bring, once a resolution is voted on, we can't bring that same resolution 2025-07 back.
So we would just have a different resolution number, but the same intent.
Different resolution with possibly slightly different language in it, depending on what information may or may not come from the city.
In that case, I move that we vote to approve contractual agreement presented in Resolution 2025-07?
507.
I'd just like to clarify something here, because this resolution says the Board of Directors hereby resolves and approves the document entitled Collective Composting Program Phase 2 Service Agreement be duly executed by the board chairperson or their designee. It does not reference the MOU.
Correct. The MOU is a separate agreement.
We're not
because-
voting on the MOU.
No, the city has asked to not be a part of the service agreement because if there are properties outside of the city limits that get involved in the program, the city didn't want to be a part of that, which I think is understandable.
So I don't know if you would be willing to amend your motion, Councilor Wiltz.
Did I say MOU? If I did, I didn't mean to. So yeah, I'm going to amend my motion to say that I'm moving that we approve Resolution 2025-07. Make it simple.
I'll second that.
But just a point of clarification, if I may. I'm sorry, Commissioner Thomas, but so Commissioner Thomas made a motion that was then seconded.
Withdrew it.
And then Commissioner Thomas withdrew it and motioned to table, and there was not a second.
No, I withdrew everything.
You did, the to table was not a motion?
No.
Okay, that's my clarification, okay.
All right, any further discussion on this motion? All right, Mr. McGlasson, please do a roll call vote.
Thomas,
No.
Piedmont Smith,
Yes.
Swafford,
No.
Matera,
No.
Wiltz.
Yes.
Motion fails. 2 ayes, 3 nays.
All right, and I will try to reach out to City Legal through Sean Mia, our contact, and hopefully get some answers by our next meeting. All right, thank you, Mr. Winio. Next item on the agenda is Garden Quest Community and Festival of Food Waste Pilot Project Funding Proposal. Mr. McGlasson, would you like to introduce this?
Yeah, I can certainly introduce. This is something that, if you'll recall at the last board meeting, Matt Austin, who is with Garden Quest, but also the vice chair of our CAC, did bring up to the board that this was probably coming to them this month, referred back to some discussions that we had last fall that unfortunately did not come to fruition, but a similar proposal was in place specific to Lotus Festival at that time. That ultimately did not happen, but Garden Quest obviously has continued to pursue offering and as for food collection as well as promoting the bokashi food fermentation system that they do, and so they are back again seeking some funding to do this at festivals as well as offering some education opportunities and other ways to promote the bokashi fermentation system. And Mr. Austin and Ellie Spear of Garden Quest are both here, I believe, to present to the board.
All right, thank you. Ms. Spear, Mr. Austin, would you like to make a presentation?
What we are asking from you today are supplies for the festival food waste program. That would be these buckets. These buckets, which are fermentation buckets. These buckets would, in terms of sustainability of the program, these would be reused over and over and over again at every future festival. These would be stored at, we've talked to Will Detmer Park, and they have a huge storage facility there, and they are also very excited about accepting the fermented food waste because they want to accelerate their composting process And that's one thing that bokashi fermentation does. And they also just want to build soil, and they want to amend the grounds. And this bokashi is a soil amendment, a soil composting accelerator. So the concept would be that these buckets would be at the festival with volunteers that Garden Quest would manage. We already have partnerships with National Honor Society and Key Club. They're members are excited to be a part of this, and we will also reach out to others. They will be a part of the education team at the Taste of Bloomington or future festivals. They will be introducing our community to the concept of bokashi through an quick experience. You have food waste. What do you do with it? There's the trash can, or there's the bokashi bucket. You scrape it into the bokashi bucket. You sprinkle, is what I'm doing in schools. It's our magic fairy dust. And then this starts the process. If people want to know more, we will have an educational table there, and we will also be offering that they come to future workshops where they can actually learn the process. The other thing about what we want to do with these buckets is not just have them sit there, because we don't have festivals every week. So the idea would be a try before you buy program. And the idea is that people, just like at our public library, they would be able to sign out for 4 months, and that's how long the process takes, 2 buckets, because you need 2 buckets. One is your active bucket, one is your resting fermenting bucket. And they would get to test it for 4 months, and then they would give it back, and then they would have the option of buying their own buckets. We would also they could buy their own buckets. They could source their own materials to make their own buckets. We've actually come up with, can you show the, my son has been working on 3D printing the parts so that someone could lower the economic threshold for actually buying their own buckets and go to the public library, or if they're an IU student, you can print one thing a week, and they could print for a third of the cost their own tamper plate. So we will, as a part of our education, we're going to provide, this is how you can do it yourself for a very low cost. But for people who do not want to, we can also say this is where you can buy it from as well. But the idea is with the festival food waste, what we're asking for is for festivals and for a try it before you buy it program where we will manage people. They'll sign a contract. That's what we're doing right now with a small grant that we got from Indiana Department of Environmental Management. We have neighborhood bokashi captains sign a contract. They find 3 other households. They sign the contract, and they can use our buckets indefinitely. And as long as they're fermenting food waste, they can use it. So it would be the same concept, except that they would have to give it back after 4 months. The other part of this, our ask, is to provide education in multiple tiers. So one would be sort of intro sessions at faith-based centers, at schools, at neighborhood association gatherings. And we've identified how many we would do within a 12-month period. We already have a workshop set up at the community orchard, and we already have an educational bokashi pit there. So we already have at Earth Day, we had 45 city and county residents sign up for one of the 2 sessions. So there's definitely interest there, and I have more people signing up every day. So part of the funding would go for the training at these different, both our intro, which is 30 minutes, to our hour and a half. You're going to you're going to get your fingers dirty. You're going to learn how to do this and make sure that you like the smell, that you understand what's going to go in there, that you understand the thickness of the soil that you're going to put over it. You're going to get to dig and go on a treasure hunt and see what you can find at the community orchard. So that's what the funding we're asking for is, to share this process, get people excited, get students involved, and build a bokashi. Our biggest thing is with this, I don't know if you guys saw the decentralized bokashi map, but the idea is we want to pilot this small hub, one small hub at a time, and have lots of leaders in our community who all understand how to do this and are all taking part in being responsible for our food waste.
And with the Waste Reductions District's motto being our world, our responsibility, we find that this falls directly in line with that mentality. Having partnered with Will Detmer, already you can see that, and partnering with the Taste of Bloomington, it's a no-brainer to me to be able to take that food waste from as many festivals as we can and take it out to Will Detmer to build soil. They specifically want to build compost and soil. So it's that opportunity, but also then taking all the gardeners that are already out there. They're now bringing their fermented food waste to build soil there. And so we just see this as an opportunity to really start creating a culture shift in the community in Monroe County, where food waste is no longer something that goes to landfill. It's something that you use to create incredible soil that then feeds the plants that you're growing. So does everybody have to take it to the folks that are doing the Try Before You Buy? Do they have to take it to Will Detmer? Absolutely not. They can bury it in existing garden beds. They can build their own pit as well. But we're also working to work with Parks and Rec to find other centrally located places that people can have additional pits. We're working on multiple, we just were in contact with a faith group that wants us to come by, a neighborhood association that's scheduling. So we really see this decentralized model as something that can be duplicatable, not just in our county, but in every county across the country. And if you do any research, South Korea, back in the early 2000s, took this on, and they did it in cities of millions of people. So if they can do it in a city of millions of people, we can definitely do it in a county of, 150, couple 100,000 folks.
And it's really about not putting all of the eggs in one basket. We really think everyone should learn how to do this. I have 3-year-olds doing this at Marlin, or preschool. At Harmony, I have 3 to 5-year-olds doing it. They can do it. We have 80-year-olds in our neighborhood doing it. We have them fill the bucket up halfway. It is doable. It is forgiving. Someone can go on vacation for 6 months and the product does not degrade. So it is super forgiving. It is safe. It doesn't bring in animals. It's, I don't even pH test anymore, but I can to give people confidence that they're doing it correctly. It just works. It's black and white. It's easy. Birthday cake, meat, everything.
And some of the comments we've had from our compost captains, a gentleman named Don Garner, his wife who was interested in doing this, and it's been a literal change of his lifestyle. Now they have a garden that they put their food waste in. The tamper plate, if you want to pick that up again, Elle, that's not the lid. That is to push the food waste down so that there's the least amount of air pockets possible. His son and him do that. Like his son jumps on it. So he's also got he now collects his parents' food waste, and he has other people in his pod that he does that for. So it's creating a culture shift in this man's life. And that's what we want. He came over and he just said, if nobody's giving you verbal flowers today, here's your verbal flowers. And he just talked about what an impact something like this had on his life. And we don't see that very often with food waste. So being able to spread that is paramount to us when it comes to that culture shift. So we're already seeing that, but we need more exposure because, as my sister will tell you, once people see this, they're like, how can we do it? And their two questions are, what does it cost? and how much time?
No, where can we?
And where can we put it? So those are the things that we're additionally working on. Anything else?
All right, thank
And
you.
yeah, I would just say the last thing is what we've seen with our 2.5-year-old neighborhood pilot. It's creating community. It is really like that. I think is the core of this. Is we're all taking a small part and working together. So yeah, with our different neighborhood groups, it's 6,000 pounds in 2.5 years from 20 households. Like, to me, that's impressive. Maybe. So it's community. That's what we're trying to build.
Well, thank you, Ms. Spear and Mr. Austin. So the proposal in front of us is for supporting the project at the rate of $5,000. Let's open this up to questions from board members.
I don't know if I have a question, but I just thank you for your excellent presentation. And it was really, really cool to read the materials in the uploaded packet as well.
Thank you for that. We worked really hard on it.
So I do have a question about the budget chart in your materials. So the supplies section is pretty straightforward. It costs X amount of dollars to purchase the buckets and the brand. But then you have 4 other line items where it's not clear to me where these costs come from. Like Festival Food Waste Pilot, $2,000. Okay, is that to pay for your time? Is that to pay for tables? What is that for? And the same for the training workshops, the introductory educational component, and then the as-needed support for the Bokashi captains. It's like, where do these numbers come from? How did you get these numbers?
Yeah, it's paying for the time, the organization, the setup, the tear down, and the management of the entire thing. We did a 125-person festival down in Orange County, collected 50 pounds of food waste, and held training sessions, and that was an entire day process. So we're basing it off things that we've been doing previously. Go ahead.
Including going to the Paoli High School and training the students there. So there's going to be a lot of pre-work that we do. I'm just managing volunteers, getting these high school students to understand, talking to the teachers, getting them so that they understand the process. It's going to take a lot of behind the scenes work so that they are stewards of the process. They're not just, this is a one-off, they're actually going to learn as well. So there's a lot of time that's going to go into that.
So is there
What? Oh, and this is 12. Oh, and also what we found is that with our IDEM program, where we're with our neighborhood captains, we have those captains coming back to us and saying, this household in my group had this question, can you check on this? So part of this funding would also be for, we are there versus a YouTube video. We are here on the ground locally, and we can make sure that you have the confidence in what you're doing, that you are doing it right, that you're killing off all the E. coli and the pathogens, and your dogs are not going to go get stuff. We are there for people to ask those questions, and that's what we found makes people confident, and they're like, I've got this. So that's part of it.
So is there an hourly rate that you use? I mean, can we see, I still would like to see more details as to these numbers.
Yeah, it's $40 an hour. So I looked at and we were trying to stay within the 5,000, so it doesn't even, the $40 an hour is not going to cover what we're going to put in. I look at a beginning teacher's salary. If you're starting out in the state of Indiana, it's $35 an hour when you look at their salary, and we went a little higher. But with the amount of time that we're going to take, I working in the schools, I always spend like 5 times as much. But we want this to work. We want to start sharing this with the community, and but that's the number we started with.
And I'm just a volunteer. I'm not on the board, stuff. I'm just here supporting my sister as also a part of the CAC, so I don't get paid at all.
All right, other questions from board members?
And when someone comes and purchases the rental of the two buckets, does that money pay for the buckets, or where's that money?
Oh, the try before you buy, it's free. It's like going to the library. We're going to be a food waste diversion borrowing system.
But specifically to answer your question, that is in the line item of the buckets being purchased.
Yeah, so it's a one-time cost, and then it will just be they sign a contract, we have a date beginning, a date end, and they try it out. And then they have to return them.
So the total of this is 10,000, and you're asking for half of it from us, and the other half will be from your users, or?
No, the other half we're asking from BCAUS, but it's independent. We can run this just with $5,000 from the Waste Reduction District. We just are trying to do more. So instead of 4 educational sessions, we would do 2 educational sessions. So we can do everything independently of the city or of Bloomington Commission on Sustainability. We just want to, we have visions for what we want to do in 12 months, and the 10,000 would cover that. So we can offer more try before you buy, because we have more and more people asking for them.
Other questions? I have a question, and this may be more for Mr. McGlasson. So when we entered into the agreement with One Sustainable Joe for the composting pilot, we had, of course, that was for a higher amount of money, but we had a payment of $10,000 or $10,500 up front, and then subsequent payments were based on invoices.
Correct.
So in this case, how are you, I couldn't really understand from the agreement what documentation there will be on to verify our payment, there's no invoice, right? I'm trying to find the portion in the agreement where.
I apologize. It's in here. I just need to find where it is.
So it just says, number 6, disbursement of funds. The district shall disperse funds to Garden Quest up to the approved amount, subject to the availability of funds through the normal district processes.
Section 8, the district shall make payment to Garden Quest in response to invoices submitted, itemizing eligible project costs incurred for the invoicing period. Invoices must include supporting documentation of incurred costs, including but not limited to purchase receipts, documentation of completed action items described in the table titled Details of Funding Request in Attachment A.
Okay, sorry, I didn't make that connection there. And then,
have a related question.
yes, Councilor Wiltz, go ahead.
So along that line, an invoice would be submitted with a rate of how many hours at $40 an hour, how many people, and that would be an acceptable expense.
That would be the expectation. Yes.
Ready for a vote? I think.
Oh, yes.
We don't have a quorum, so
Yes.
we don't need to.
Well, I had another question. As far as reporting, so what is this called? The funding agreement says reports shall be submitted within 30 days of the completion of the festival, event, training session, and/or presentation that Garden Quest does, which include various items. Does that? I'm just wondering. What if they do 2 training sessions a month? Wouldn't 1 report per month be adequate?
Seems like a lot of reporting.
Seems like a lot of reporting.
For my purposes, it would, and there's certain, if they did 2 sessions 2 weeks apart, they can submit, as long as the report is submitted within 30 days of the first session, it can include both sessions.
I see.
I mean,
So it could be once a month, it's just
Yeah.
within 30 days.
yeah, we just want it within, 30 days, but it doesn't mean that it's a per event or per purchase invoice. It can include multiple items.
And I have one other question for Garden Quest. What is the benefit of this black soldier fly larvae thing?
Like, okay, I get you're feeding the chickens, but
So that's the future. If we're able to build this to where we have 50% of residents doing this, we're going to have a lot of fermented food waste, right? So black soldier flies, they lay their larvae in food waste and in anything decomposing, and then this black soldier fly larva system actually enables the larva to fall into buckets, into a collection, and then that is used for pig feed and chicken feed. Right now, we just put our food waste, some of it, into a pit in our chicken run, covered over with a lid, and the black soldier flies find it. They lay their larvae in there, and that's free protein for our chickens, and it's not it's very expensive to buy at the stores. You're talking like $35 for a 5 gallon or a 5 pound bag. So it's another way that we can keep food waste in the county, and we can create a viable product from it that helps our farmers, that produces a protein. So this isn't like an end-all be-all. This is another step in making bokashi a culture change in Monroe County.
And the idea is it could be a potential incentive for partnerships where we go to IDEM and we say we want to write a big grant for our farmers to each have these black soldier fly processing systems. They will partner with this apartment complex, and this farmer will go pick up from this apartment complex. This farmer will pick up from this school. This farmer, and this is how we're going to deal with our food waste. So the idea is, this is not in the funding agreement. We just want to sort of show you where we're headed, the ideas that we have. And the other thing that I've had someone ask is, do black soldier flies bite? No, they are not harmful at all. It's not like a biting fly. They're harmless. You can pick them up. It's not like you're going to have bazillions all over the parks. They're a natural part of the process. And the more soil you put on top, and if you were to put grass seed over, like we could literally have pits in Bryan Park, you cover it over with, you put soil over it, cover it with grass seed, you won't even know it's there, and we amend all our parks. The black soldier flies are not gonna, no one's gonna see them. So
They get underground
yeah.
to lay their larvae?
Yeah, but there's a way to harvest and process them, so. But that's why that was in there.
Sounds like a future order of business.
Yeah, exactly. All right, any other questions? Yes, Mr. McGlasson.
I guess it's a clarifying thing, because when we were talking about, using the funds that would be provided by the district to purchase the supplies and the materials, and then a trial period for people, and then they would buy their own bucket. So I bet the concern is that you're using our money to buy buckets and then turning around and selling those buckets. Okay.
No, these are going to be indefinitely the property of the Monroe County Waste Reduction District. We're just going to manage the borrowing system for you. Yes, that we want this to be sustainable. We're not selling them. Here's your supply list. You liked what you did. You liked what you tried at our library. Now you can go print your own, buy your own, or you can buy it from another company.
I just wanted to clarify that. So.
All right. Well, thank you. Is there any member of the public who would like to comment on this proposal? Don't see any. So I think we can go to a vote.
Well,
Or we
I'm
need a
sorry,
motion first.
I'm sorry, if I may, this was the presentation, so if there's desire for the board to consider moving forward with this, the next agenda item is the resolution to approve the funding
right.
agreement.
Gotcha. All right, well, let's move forward to Resolution 2025-08. Is there a motion after the time stop?
I move that we approve Resolution 2025-08, funding agreement between the Waste Reduction District and Garden Quest.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. And this approves the document entitled Funding Agreement between Waste Reduction District and Garden Quest for Community and Festival Food Waste Pilot Project. So I guess I was just conflating that, and I was already asking questions about this funding agreement previously, so I don't think I have any remaining questions. Are there any remaining questions or comments from other board members?
I would just say looks like an incredibly valuable process that just can grow exponentially in the future. So very exciting.
And I would like to say that when we talked about this at the executive committee meeting, we did recognize that, Mr. Austin is on our CAC and Mr. Winia is also on our CAC, and at least I had a bit of a misgiving in thinking, people are going to think they can get on our CAC and then just get money from us. But I think that, first of all, for Mr. Winia's project, of course, we had an RFP, a call for request for proposals, and that was a higher dollar project, and hopefully we'll be able to renew that soon. For this purpose, it's a lower dollar figure, but it did lead me to believe, what if there are other people with good ideas out there that comply with our mission, and they don't know about it because they're not on the CAC, so they wouldn't know how to reach out to us. And so I did talk at the executive committee meeting of maybe looking into, for next year, an actual grant program where we would have a call for applications so that we can get the word out, because there may be other innovative ideas out there.
Yes, and the state law does allow solid waste districts, which we are defined as, to do community grant programs for whatever, there are multi-county districts, so for whatever area that district serves. So timing was good. We're getting into next year's budget preparation at this time, so we will, I do know some districts that do have such grant programs, so I will reach out to them and we'll see what we can do to develop a similar program and what kind of funding we can appropriate for it.
All right, well, now I will go to the public. Is there any member of the public who would like to comment on Resolution 2025-08? Do not see anybody. So I think we can come back for a roll call vote.
Wiltz,
Yes.
Piedmont Smith,
Yes.
Swafford,
Yes.
Madeira.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, very good. Thank you to Ms. Spear and Mr. Austin, and we look forward to hearing about your success and going to Taste of Bloomington and not putting our chicken wings in the trash can. All right, next we have the CAC report. Mr. Winia.
Again, directors, Joseph Winia here, chair of the Citizens Advisory Committee. Pretty simple report this month. The main item that I'll note is that we did approve the proposal to get a booth at the Bloomington Farmers Market for CAC promotional purposes. So happy to see that. And then we also had talked about the Bokashi proposal that you just saw here as well. So that is all I have to add.
Good. Any questions for Mr. Winia? I'm glad to see the farmers market table. I hope you get a lot of people stopping by and learning about the district and hopefully some new volunteers.
Yeah, thank you. I'm sure I'll provide an update on that in the future as well.
Great, thank you.
Yes.
Now we can move on to department reports, and we'll start with Administration Department with Mr. McGlasson.
We'll start with our last legislative update of the year, since the session is now over. So the first bill listed, House Bill 1134, did pass. If you'll recall, last month, that was amended to remove all the previous amendments. So it went back to its original language. So it was approved. It was signed by the governor on May 1st. But all it does at this point is add those handful of items to issues that can be discussed in an executive session. All the other stuff about virtual meetings and technical issues has all been removed. So, and then I do need to make a correction in my report. House Bill 1677, that standing alone did not go anywhere. However, that language was added in conference committee to House Bill 1014, which was a public safety bill, and was signed by the governor on just Tuesday. So that bill did pass and become law. That does make illegal dumping in certain situations a Class C misdemeanor. So we've already advised the county attorney's office that passed, and are looking at how that's going to impact or affect our environmental compliance program. So, but at the very least, it gives us a couple more teeth. So. And then the last one is the Senate Bill 459, Environmental Matters Bill, but had to do with cybersecurity at publicly owned treatment works, water treatment works, which the leachate treatment plant does fit the definition of. That also has passed, was signed by the governor on the 1st. Mr. Polson has already attended a couple of webinars about that, and it does appear that we may already be, halfway in compliance with what ultimately is going to come to pass, but the bill does, the state Tech Services Department, I forget the actual title of it, but the state is going to establish the criteria. The bill calls for that criteria to be established, and then at some point after that, the treatment plants will be subject to those requirements. But my understanding with talking with Mr. Polson, the webinars that he's attended, they've have kind of laid out what they anticipate those requirements to be, and we're already, in a good position with our plant, with what we anticipate that they'll be implementing. So it shouldn't be too big of an impact on us, we hope. So. And then I would note that you all should have had at your seat today one of our new reusable bags that were recently delivered, that we will have by popular request available to distribute at the fair again this year. So we did not have any last year, and had a lot of disappointed people. So we'll have those again to distribute this year. And on the same note, as we've done in the past few years, we'll be sharing our booth with the county's stormwater program. That's been a good partnership at the fair. We have a lot of I guess, mission. Our missions overlap a lot, and that works out really well, sharing that. And the last thing that I do point out, everything with our waste tire grant is done and executed. So we have set September 6th as a date to do a tire amnesty event out at the fairgrounds. We're still finalizing with the fairgrounds and our vendor exact scheduling of that, but once we get that done, we'll obviously promote that, publish that information so that Monroe County residents are aware of when that opportunity will be for them. And that's all that I have.
Okay, thank you very much. There's a lot going on. When is the Monroe County Fair?
I believe June 30th is the first day that the fair is actually open to. There are some, the Fair Queen contest and some of the 4-H events start ahead of that, but I believe June 30th is the first full fair day at the fairgrounds.
No. Are there any questions for Mr. McGlasson on his report? Right. Well, then we can move on to report from Joey Long for recycling and reuse and hazardous waste and the rural sites. Mr. Long, are you with us via Teams? There you are.
Yes. So I will start off with the recycling and reuse, our green business network. We have now actually received both of our new box trucks that we ordered. One of them is on the road doing pickups. The second one, we're waiting on a waste hauler permit and plates, and it will be on the road hopefully in the next couple of days. With the purchase of the 2 new trucks, it's going to reduce the maintenance cost on our older vehicles substantially. So that's a good plus. The hazardous materials, we have met with the city of Bloomington, the hand department, for their annual training that we do for them. And we talked to them about the cleanups that they plan on doing. They do 2 cleanups every year, and they have actually completed the first cleanup this past weekend, and we was able to take the stuff from them. So that went really good. And the rural recycling centers, we do have some scheduled maintenance on the compactors coming up. So, as the public comes in there, you may see them working on some of the boxes, just doing some local upkeep, but it will not interfere with any of the recycling. And that's all I have.
All right, sounds good. Are there any questions for Mr. Long? All right, seeing none, we can move on to Mr. Paulson's report from landfill and environmental compliance. And I don't know who's controlling the monitors here in the Nat U Hill room, but if we can make the speaker who is on Teams bigger, is that possible? So we can see them better. Anyway, go ahead, Mr. Paulson.
Yeah, good afternoon. Lee Paulson, Environmental Compliance and Landfill Director. The report is there. Stuff I'd like to highlight would be that we did our tree planting, 8,000 trees. I listed the type of trees that we planted this year. We still have a little bit of land, probably about 5 acres in that Shiloh Road area that we can probably look at next year, and then start looking at some of the Barrow area on the west side, some of the areas like that to kind of continue with this trend. We started our groundwater sampling on Monday. That's all going pretty good. Weather's been favorable, equipment's working well, and Mary Beth and I are knocking it out. Much past that, the report is there if you guys have any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Paulson. Are there any questions on the report we just heard? Of course, we have all the data on the lead sheet and such, the road cleanups in our packets. And seeing no comments or questions, I just wanted to remind the board that Mr. McGlasson and Mr. Paulson and the executive committee are still, we had another meeting with the Rocky Mountain Institute about possible solar on the landfill. And so that is still something we're investigating and looking into. So nothing decisive yet, but
yeah.
yes.
So yeah, to interject with what you're saying with that, I was able to obtain the old leases that are kind of the question in regards to CenterPoint's monitoring well. And I have a meeting tomorrow with our attorney to understand the language of what all that means and basically what that does or what that means for us moving forward with the solar type stuff. So hopefully after tomorrow I'll have a little more clarity on with that, and I will try to report back next month with what that comes about and kind of see if that helps, or it makes it more confusing. I don't know.
Keep in mind that one of those lease agreements was signed in 1958 by a previous property owner.
Yeah, they were all signed like a long time ago. So 58 and like 60 something. So they are old leases.
All right, well, I'm eager to hear if they will curtail what we can do there. Hopefully not.
Yeah, from what I gather from the people at Centerpoint, they don't want to try to hinder us, but they just want to make sure all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed the right way for whatever we choose to do. So, which I understand. I don't think it'll really change what we're going to do, at least in regards to them. So we'll just have to see.
Okay, good. I'm glad to hear that. All right. Then we can go to general public comment. Is there any member of the public that would like to make a comment to the board at this time? Don't see anybody coming forward. So we will move to comments from directors. Do any of our directors up here want to give a comment?
Just as a general comment, we hear so much about divisiveness and partisanship, and I think, these county meetings might seem to be low priority for people as judged by the amount of members of the public who come. But they're really amazing examples of partnerships between community members and county government and city government, and that's why I think these opportunities are really valuable. So people, if the evidence of cooperation and, comradeship is lacking, look no further than these types of meetings. And so I wish more people knew about that.
Right.
Thank you, Commissioner Madeira. That is a good point. And I think that's it for today. So thank you all for coming, and we're adjourned.